What's up, guys? This is season 2, episode 1 of Pose. I already went on Netflix and went ahead and binged the first season, so I know everything that's going on. It's a show I heard a whole lot about, so I decided to go ahead and check it out. Uh, First part, you see Pretel and Blanca on a boat. And the first thing I'm wondering what's going on. Like, I'm not really sure what I expected really for the opening of the season, but it seemed kind of I don't know, tame. I guess I expected them to start out with a ball, but they went in a different direction, as I would come to realize throughout this episode. It seemed a little different, but it was really good. It was really informative. So they go to this island where they have basically it's a giant mass grave, unfortunately, and it's kind of funny to me. This show is taking place in the early 90s, and I was born in 1984, so I was real young at the time. But just hearing about what was going on in the world back then, of course, I'm too young to really be aware of the different things that were going on. Plus, I'm from the South, and I know things were probably different from the way they were up in places like New York. And I'd kind of be interested to find out what it was like for someone from that community who was living in the South. Although, from watching season 1 of the show, it seems like a lot of people from the South migrated up north to maybe the bigger cities or something like that. But I'd be interested to find out what it was like for someone down here during that time period. But basically, they're on an island, which is a giant mass grave. Think Avengers Endgame, the way after everybody got spoilers, after everyone got snapped and vanished, and they had this giant, I guess you could call it a cemetery, where they had everyone's name on a plaque, and everyone who wanted to go visit it could go find a person's name. But it was basically a giant cemetery for people who vanish, and it was kind of similar but just really morbid. They had everyone in a giant um I know it was crazy to see you had people in hazmat suits and all this, that, and the other. And it's kind of shocking. Like I said, I was little in the early 90s, but just considering what we know now, and if you think about it, it's really not that long of a time period between then and now. That was just in the early 90s. It's just like a 20-year difference or so. But just how much we know now compared to back then and watching the show, and to me it's just like, why don't you know this? But I guess that's the way time goes. I guess I'm sure in about 20 years, and we have kids and everything, we're gonna seem dumb to them. um Next part was Blanca goes to the doctor and finds out that she's got to the point where she has full blown AIDS. And I like this doctor. She was funny in the first season. I think her and Patel kind of like frenemies. And they go back and forth together. So she's sitting with Blanca, and I really enjoyed Blanca's acting during this scene. One of the things I love about a really good actor is the way they could tell a whole lot without saying a word. And when she was told that her T cells got lower, so she was, classified as having full blown AIDS, she didn't say anything. It was all in her face, all in her emotions. She emoted the heck out of that. And I really enjoyed that scene. And the way at first she was kind of in denial. She was talking about, oh yeah, I've been feeling good. I've been taking my Flintstone vitamins, da 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 da. And I remember I used to take my Flintstone vitamins too. But it was funny seeing they say people have steps of grief or something like that. And it was interesting to see the way she went from denial to being afraid and acceptance and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna be interested to see how Blanca's story unfolds during the course of this season. She's definitely one of my favorite characters. Next, we had Angel and Poppy having fun, taking some photos together. And I'm kind of wondering what's going on with those two. At first, I thought it was like a brother-sister relationship, but I saw the way he looked at her a few times in this episode, and it seems like it go maybe a little more than that, at least from him. Hopefully, he doesn't get placed in the friend zone. But I don't know. We have to see. That'd be kind of interesting. I like Poppy. I'd like to see more of his character this season. Last season, I think he fulfilled his role. He was as kind of a side character. This time around, I'd like to see them explore and go into depth on his character a little bit more. The next was showing Blanca at the nail shop. And I want to say this was the part where, well, I'll just go from the top. I can't follow these notes. Anyway, Blanca works at a nail shop, and next we have one of the balls, which is really really cool. Um, just a little about me. I like to act. You know, I've sung in church. I've done a whole lot of different things. I used to have dreads, and I've done hair modeling, and I love creativity and art, and that's what that is to me. So I guess I'm secure enough to be able to look at what I'm seeing and enjoy it for the artistry and the creativity and all that kind of stuff. And then you had Lulu and Candy just at the bar, just being messy as usual. But those two are funny. Those are kind of like comedy relief to keep things from getting a little too serious. And then you have Angel come in just beasting on everybody. It's funny, she is turned into like the new it girl in the ball. Like I could see her in a few, well not a few, in a bunch of years, but she could be the next Electra Abundance, at least as far as notoriety, if not, you know, more grand than her. And I actually took some time and looked at the movie Paris is Burning. And I think Angel is supposed to be representing one of the characters on that show, I think named Venus. I won't spoil anything, but it's just interesting. You might want to check that movie out if you haven't seen it. I just saw it on YouTube, so just type it in and see if you can still find it. Uh, and also the Madonna song Vogue. I was a little boy when song came out, but it's interesting to see the significance of it. Cause to me, it was just a nice song, but through watching the show, I could see how to certain people it really spoke to them and represented them, and just especially with the day we're living in now, it's just great to see representation. And so that helps me to understand what it might have felt like for them back then. The next part, they had the funeral, and of course they had Lulu and Candy being messy again, but they actually came up with a few good points and something that I try to live by as well. You should give your flowers to people while they're living, because once they're dead, what's the point? And a lot of people just don't do that. They never say I love you. They never show any, affection. So I just thought it was good that they pointed that out, that you should, let someone know you care for them while they're still alive. Some people and that gets on my nerves too. You see people at funerals who never talk to the person, call the person, were never close to the person, but as soon as they die, that's when all of a sudden the waterworks want to come on. Uh, Next was the Act Up rally, and that was cool. And this was after a little banter between Pray Taylor and the nurse. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now. But it's cool the way she was there, throwing a couple of little jabs at him. And one of the jokes was really funny where she was saying how it takes a tramp to have red lipstick. And I was surprised you never pulled it off. That one, I was like, yeah, you get a point for that one. But it was good. So to go to the Act Up rally, and at first Praytel was resistant, but eventually he really got into it, and it was kind of like I saw the life just go back into him. It's kind of like he found a purpose, which is something, and it kind of spoke to me personally because I'm at a point in my life where I'm really, not just wanting to work a job, but I'm looking for something really to get passionate about myself. So that scene really spoke to me in that kind of way. Uh, so the next part was the modeling call when Blanca dragged Angel to the modeling agency because she was afraid. But I think that Angel could really do it. Like, um, I mean, you could. I mean, at least I can't tell that that's a transsexual just looking at it personally. Um, so just objectively, she looks like a beautiful woman, so I could see her being on a cover of a magazine or stuff like that. So I think it was real good that Blanca did that, and also gave her some purpose. And it was kind of funny. They had a scene where she, right after she got done with a ball, and everyone giving her all her praise, they showed her down at the pier turning tricks, and then Blanca rolled up on her in a cab. She was talking about, "What's up, baby?" She was like, "If you don't get in this car," and the way she jumped was so funny to me. Uh, the next part was dinner, and you have Electra coming in. Um, she's funny sometimes the way she be reading people, but she gets really annoying sometimes as well. Her acting doesn't seem like it's improved very much at all since the first season. She does a whole lot of screaming for no reason and very monotone. And I'd like to see her emote just a little bit. But she's a funny character. I'm glad she's on the show. I think there's room for a character like that on the show. I just like to see her improve just a little bit more at this point anyway. I mean, it's been a whole season. The next is the nail shop, and this part kind of made me mad, where Pray Tell announced at that dinner with Electra that he wanted everyone to come to this rally where they were going to lay down in the church to fight the misinformation and different things that were going on back then about where AIDS were coming from and different ways to stop it. They had a church saying it was about abstinence, so don't worry about condoms, da 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 da. It's just real funny to hear, and especially for a kind of church boy. Not so much anymore, but at one point I was very heavy in the church, and I know how, uh, not the church bash. Definitely don't want to do that, but I definitely know the way that a lot of people think. Um, so moving on. So they're in the nail shop, and Blanca has to leave so she can go to the rally. She already worked her shift. The manager tries to make her stay longer, and she's like, no. So she fires her. So then she wants to get nasty and start talking about how she's a good Christian. And I was just waiting next for her to say how many transsexuals she knows, or I just can't stand people like that. Like, if you were a real good Christian, then you'll love Blanca no matter who she is or what her sexuality is. But she says that and then fires her, and Blanca's like, yeah, well, one day I'm gonna have my own shop and I'm coming back and buy yours, which I thought was real cool. Blanca ain't back down from the hoe. Next was the church layout, which was interesting. And again, I like to know what it was like in the South. Did they do things like that down here as well? Or is that just an up north thing? And all that's just really, really interesting because it's really not that long ago. And thinking about all the advances they've had since then, and just personally speaking, the way the mentalities of certain people have not changed since then. It's just the world is funny. That's all I can really say right now. The world is funny. The next was the photo shoot, and this part was kind of sad, where Angel couldn't afford to get these high quality photos because she made it to the semifinals, which was awesome. So she's there with this photographer, and he's asking her all these questions. Does she have a job? Da da da. And then he says, "I've seen you at the pier." So he clocked her, and he was basically blackmailed her. Said that I'll do your photo shoot if I can take photos from my private collection. And afterwards, start asking her to take her clothes off and all this, that, and the other. And it looked like it really, really hurt her. And personally, I don't know what it's like to feel like you're in the wrong body, or to really dislike certain parts of myself to that extent. Of course, we all have our own insecurities, but I really like the way, again, similar to Blanca, the way she didn't even have to say much. It was just in their facial expressions. You could tell how much that really hurt her. Next part was the ball, and Electra shows up with some kind of carousel wrapped around her body. And she put on the whole skit with a guillotine, and of course Pray Tell was up there just letting her have it the whole time, especially since she did not go to that church laydown that Blanca said everyone was supposed to come to. So both of them got into it, and he brought up some good points about how at her status and her level, she's kind of like she influences people. And that's one of the bad parts about celebrity and status and all that kind of stuff. You kind of become a role model even if that's not what you want to be. So she has people looking at her and the things she's doing, and she could influence people in a positive way or a negative way. And I think that's kind of like what he was trying to explain to her when she didn't show up for, the community. Next, you see Papa beating the crap out of that photographer because Angel told him and Blanca what happened and what she had to do to get her pictures. So the next thing you know, you see Poppy going to town on him. And I'm glad Blanca thought to get the negatives of the photos. They did what they had to do, you know, and then they left. Next, you have Angel. She goes to the lady to give her her photos, and she makes it to the finals of the competition. Now, I know that was such a big moment for her, especially for someone who did not believe in herself. Next, you have Blanca cleaning, and it was funny when Angel showed up because she ducked down. It's just like, ain't nothing on that flow. You know, it's funny because I used to work with someone like that. I guess she had OCD or something like that. So every single hour she would stop and sweep the same spot on the floor and there'd be nothing on it. Nothing. So it was just, that part tickled me. And then she revealed to Angel that she has full blown AIDS now. And they had their little, I call them a pose moment. But I say I ain't gonna let them get me this time. I saw it coming. So you know, normally you get the feels and all that in parts like that, but you know, that was good. It's one of them pose moments. Next you have Elektra, and again, she's just too much. And it kind of makes me feel like we missed part of the story because she seemed too amped up for the situation. I mean, she flipped the table and everything, and low key, I wanted Blanca to run over there and knock her out after that. Like, she be getting away with too much sometimes, way too much. And then you have the final performance, which was cool. You know, you had everybody in their big routine and dedication to Madonna and her song Vogue. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this season has to bring. I enjoyed last season. So if I had to give this one a score for a season premiere, let's see. I have to knock it down at least 1 point for Elektra. Just her acting stands out, not in a good way. It gave me pretty much everything I wanted. So I'll give it a 9. Anyway, leave your comments and give me a like and bear with me. This is my first video for my channel. So, you know, I'm going to enjoy reviewing this show and seeing your comments, and maybe I can learn something. I learned a lot from looking at different people's reviews and different things for last season, and I'm interested to see what this season is going to hold. Anyway, take it easy.